This is Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom. Words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope that you'll consider this your vitamin or supplement for this day. And wherever and however you receive podcasts, if you would subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief review, it would be very, very helpful. Today, on Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, I want to talk about a morning routine. Your future starts when you wake up and when you get out of bed. Robert Frost made a little joke that said, the brain is the only organ that starts working the moment you wake up and does not stop working until you get into the office. Now, that is a joke. And there is no problem nor no night that can't be overcome by a morning. And I want to talk to you about something that sort of revolutionized my life a decade and a half ago, really. And that was I began keeping a morning routine. Now, I don't do it when I'm on vacation necessarily, though I do some of it. I don't do it on holidays necessarily, though there are certain parts that have just become a part of the fabric of my life. And so the question that you would ask is, why do I need a morning routine? Now, I think it will help you and me to become the best we can be. It was also Ralph Waldo Emerson who said that all of life is an experiment. And the more you experiment, the more you will get done, you will learn. So you won't just be born knowing how to keep a morning routine. I was going to kind of share with you some of the things that I do nearly every morning, but mostly on work mornings. If you don't set the tone of the day early, you'll never get much done. No one ever became great. Now, there are going to be some of you that are going to take umbrage at what I'm about to say, but I've not met them yet. No one became great by laying in bed half the day. Now, I know I have people that say, I'm a night person, I'm all of this, and I'm all of that. Well, what I've said to those people, do you have a routine? Most night people are night people because they stay up and watch television and goof off. They're not calling customers. They're not reading things that, now I realize you may be the exception. You have trained yourself to be a late night person. Let's face it, just as you have to train yourself to be a morning person. And so if you say, I'm not a morning person, so I'm going to stop listening to you, Dr. Ron, then all I say to you is get up an hour earlier than you do. If you don't get up till noon, why don't you try 11 a.m. and try trimming the sails for your day. If you don't get up and get after things and get things accomplished, you're never going to become the best. Years ago, I heard someone say, if you'll get up early and swallow the biggest frog that you have, your day will be a whole lot easier going forward. In just a moment, I'm going to come back to that. I think you need a morning routine because it helps to build in momentum. If you don't have some intentionality and some purpose and give some time to yourself, and getting yourself in the right mindset, your heart in the right place. If you don't have a plan, someone has a plan for your life, and they will give it to you. One of the nicest things about a morning routine is it gives time for yourself. I'm in an accountability group in which I'm the oldest person in the group. The others all have children at home. And that adds a component to their lives that, frankly, I'm past all of that now. But one of the things that we have talked about is the fact if you get into a morning routine, it kind of helps you get some things in order before the day gets away from you. Especially if you're working somewhere where someone else is telling you this is what you have to do. You need some time for yourself. How I look at my morning routine is that that it's what helps normalize the day. That if nothing else gets accomplished, these things have been accomplished during my day. Another reason to do it is if you get the day started right early on, it just is an enormous help. And here's another reason why I am a proponent of a morning routine. It gives your life rhythm, especially if you're self-employed, you're a pastor, you're an entrepreneur. There's not someone always ringing the bell and telling you be here, be there, and you can just sort of do your own thing. You still have to have a rhythm. Life just flows better when there is a rhythm. How you spend your morning, I'm a big proponent in this, is somewhat determinant of what your day is going to be like. And so here's what I want to say to you. If you lose an hour in the morning, you will spend the entire day looking for it. And let me just go through some of the things I've done. I've done this before, but it is such a help in your life. And even if you say, I only have 5 extra minutes, 10 extra minutes, 20 extra minutes, mine takes me more than an hour. But let me just tell you what I do. I am the first time I ever really came across this was by a guy, Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning. And he's had every kind of a miracle morning for real estate agents and writers and so on and so forth. But he came up with an acrostic that spells out the word savers, but he has to be somewhat creative. But I have broken them down. The very first thing is silence. But maybe even before I get to that, I need to back off and tell you something. You need to get up, you need to drink, rehydrate yourself. I brush my teeth, do a couple of other things. And then I get out of the bedroom, I go to a completely another room. I go to a room that I hardly ever visit in my home because that's where I get it done. And the very first thing that I do is silence. I just take a moment to thank God for all of his blessings and to listen to his voice. If we believe the Lord speaks in a still small voice, you're not as likely to hear him in the noise and roar of the day. Take some time to be quiet. Now, make sure you've done a few things before or the habit will be you'll fall back to sleep. But just sort of quiet yourself to listen to the Lord. Now, he talks about affirmations and visualizations. What I do there is I do Bible reading and prayer. I have a prayer list and I pray through it. I have a program of where I am this year reading through the Bible, reading the ESV, and actually the program, the Bible that I'm using, and I do it on my Kindle, I use my Kindle for this, has actually taken me through the entire Old Testament and by December 31st through the New Testament twice. I'm using a translation that I don't normally preach out of, so the word sounds fresh and it sounds new. And just getting the Bible into my mind and heart and having time for praying is a real help early in the morning. You can do all sorts of other things, but quiet, Bible reading, and prayer. The E in Savers stands for exercise. Now, I go to the YMCA in the town where I live, and that's the last thing I'm going to do between home and between going to the office or whatever my appointment is. I have been on this walk the last 1 year nearly now of trying to get in better health, watching what I eat, exercising, and I've even gotten to the point where I have a personal trainer who I'm going to interview in about a week for the podcast. She is one of the most inspirational persons I know. She was in a horrific automobile accident, in a coma, lost a leg, and is one of the most joyous persons that I know. And she pushes me for even today when she was pushing me a little bit and I'm thinking, I can't do this. Then I think, well, if Lisa can do it, I can do it. And exercise not only helps you physically, but what I have found when you're in a job with people and responsibilities and trying to solve problems or create problems, maybe some would say, it helps me attitudinally and emotionally to get the exercise in. So I highly recommend it. I'm a little bit embarrassed that I would say at the age I am now, I feel better than I've ever felt in my adult life. So friend, don't think it's too late. You can change, but exercise. Here's the reason I didn't exercise. It was just an excuse. I thought, well, while I'm exercising, people won't think I'm working and they'll think I'm goofing off. And now I just put it on my calendar. It is an appointment with myself. And if I don't exercise and I don't take care of myself, I can't help anyone else. So let me free you up. It's okay to take time to treat yourself and to get in the best shape that you can get in. The R in Savor stands for reading. So depending on how my day is going, at the minimum, I read 15 to 30 minutes in my Kindle at that point, particular books that I know that I'm going to read. Leaders are readers. I made that commitment since 1982 when challenged by a seminary professor to become a lifelong learner and to be a reader. I don't know that I need to continue to tell you how many books I read a year, because it's really not the number of books. It's the fact that you're feeding your mind and your heart and you're getting yourself in a better frame of mind. The S in Savor stands for, he uses it, scribing, which is journaling. Journaling is something I came late to the game in. I'm more verbal than I am a writer, but it has helped me. You can do it in many ways. You can do the diary type. I try to add some three things every day I write down that I'm grateful for and thankful for. Just doing that makes your day go better. You realize how much you have to be thankful for. And then I sort of just do I don't know if you want to call it a brain dump or whatever, to describe the things I'm involved with, what I'm working on, any insights. And it's amazing because I also have an evening routine in which I know what my next day, getting myself ready for my next day. It's amazing what sleep, the Lord, the subconscious, all of the above do to help you get ready. And then the night before, I have identified 3 most important tasks or things I really need to get done that next day. As a matter of fact, the last year I've made this commitment. I will not go to bed tonight until I get those 3 things done. And one of the ways that I get those 3 things done is I work on at least one of them as a part of my morning routine. So I have to make sure it's something that I can do from home, that I can take care of, that I can write or read or do or come, whatever it is. I make sure that I do it. Because my life is periodically, like most of you, predicated by an emergency. And the wonderful thing about an emergency is nobody plans on having them. They just happen. And I can't say when there's an emergency, I have these 3 really important things I must get done. You'll have to wait. You have to respond to the emergencies of life. But it gives you greater confidence if you've gotten 1 or 2 of the things done early in the morning. Then you're a little more relaxed as the day happens. And since I've made that commitment to get those 3 things done, now I usually do a whole lot more than just 3 of them, but the 3 that I commit to, there have been times I've had to stay up past my normal bedtime in order to get them done. But now I know to get in there early and to get them going. And again, it just helps my day to start right and to have the kind of rhythm that I need. And I have just discovered that how I spend my morning determines the rest of my day. Came back from a conference where I was on a 3-hour delay time clock. I was way out on the West Coast. I got out of that habit and the day just felt differently. Now, I had someone ask me before when I did a podcast on several things that you should do every day. I don't do all of these things at Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year. But what does happen is some of them have become such a part of the fiber of my life. I do them on vacation, and I do them such as Bible reading and journaling and gratitude. I may not have the most important tasks and work my way through. But you'll find these are more than just things to check off a list so you feel good about yourself. You will find that these things help you to grow as a person. And I'm a believer in Christ Jesus, and they help me to grow as a Christian and as a husband and a father and a friend. So, develop a morning routine. Even if you think mine is foolish and crazy and you don't want to do all of that, that's perfectly okay. But there's no excuse to just get up and wander into your day with no plan, no goal, no way of doing something. Develop some holy habits that will help you to be the best you can be. You've been listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, productivity, and a whole lot more. I hope that this has been like a vitamin or a supplement for your mind and heart. And again, my friends, wherever you receive podcasts from, if you would please go and subscribe to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom and leave a rating and a brief written review, it would be very, very helpful. I just checked this morning. 48 states and Washington, D.C., 120 cities, metropolitan areas, and 34 countries are listening to this podcast. So develop a morning routine. Why? Because you want to be the best you that you can be. And until next time, this is Dr. Ron saying to you, leader, you're doing better than you think you are. Go and have a blessed day.